Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Mumbo Jumbo Community Conversations. Um, today, we're here, the Kheprw Institute and Scarabys Consulting partnered together to present a fresh workshop on conflict transformation. And that is how we got turning conflict into gold. We're today we're talking about that process of taking something, that's sometimes a little uncomfortable, sometimes a little heavy, less desirable into something that, everybody wants, everybody can work with. So let's go on to the next slide. We're going to run through our agenda real quick. So, check-ins, we just did. We're going to introduce ourselves a little bit. We're going to tell y'all who we are as individuals. We're going to tell y'all who we are as organizations. Then we're going to get into some conflict transformation 101, some of the basics of conflict transformation. Our good friend Mimi is going to lead us through a deep listening exercise. And we're going to try to stay as close to time as we can, but it don't always happen with Black people. So, assuming that we do, we're going to go through the conflict transformation process for another 20 minutes, and then we'll have 10 minutes at the end to debrief and talk about some next steps. So, yeah, without further ado, let's go ahead and get into those intros. Um, so I will start. Hello, once again, my name is Chinyelu Mwaafrika, lifelong member of the Kheprw community, the youngest and newest Scarabys consultant. I am an artist. I have done a lot of I've done a lot of acting and performing arts in my time, some music, but these days I mainly do writing and illustration, particularly comics, essays, and fiction. I'm also one of the facilitators and the coordinator for Mumbo Jumbo Community Conversations, which I'll talk a little bit more about here in a second. And yeah, that's me. I'll pass it to Mimi.
Cool. Greetings, y'all. Mimi Zakem here. I'm calling in from Cincinnati. I wandered into the Kheprwverse 10 years ago, in 2015. I was in AmeriCorps and I came to a community conversation around grocery store closings that had just happened. And actually, Chinyelu was facilitating. So
Yep.
you were like 15?
Yep.
And I was working to support urban farmers in my AmeriCorps role, and I fell in love with the place, the people, the clarity, the action, and we out of that event ended up starting the Community Controlled Food Initiative, which was our response to the grocery store closings and was our co-op that we pulled together, sourcing food from local farmers, and we've sustained it now 10 years later. It cut my teeth and brought me into the folds here, entering this community, and then 2017, part of the relaunch of Scarabys Consulting to transfer the lessons we've been learning as a member owner. And yeah, I'm a dancer. You can find me hula hoop dancing in the racquetball court or any space with enough room to move a hoop around without injuring somebody. And I have been facilitating a lot of conflict transformation in my family as we have been navigating some health challenges with my parents, and that's I get practice for it every day. And I will pass it to Alvin.
Thank you, Mimi. Hey, everybody. Alvin. Been a part of Kheprw for about 15 years now. Originally from Indianapolis. I'm also one of the member owners of Scarabys Consulting Cooperative, which we'll talk a little bit about later, some more. So originally started with Kheprw doing like social media marketing, web design, Canny Media, one of our social enterprises where we did videography, web design stuff. Then in the last 5 years, really focusing in on affordable housing and helping start the Indianapolis Community Land Trust. So, and I'm excited to be here today, and we'll pass it to Imhotep.
Hey,
Oh, and shout out to my mom, Betty, who's on the call too.
that's what I was getting ready to say, man. You better call your mom out on this call,
Yeah.
boy. Imhotep, who am I? Originally from Jupiter. Sun Ra told me to drop in and investigate what's happening here on planet Earth in the right now. Ooh,
See
lot
anything
of take.
good?
Uh, I didn't really work in the good or bad lane, just to face the brutal facts. uh, I'm here for the reason other folks have said on the calls. One of the founders of the Kheprw Institute, and here to support the intergenerational approach to doing the work, both here at the local level and the relaunch of Scarabys, which Mimi said earlier, and would like to spend most of my time in a listening role, but and coaching role, but we'll suit up if Ms. Fair makes me.
Right on. All right, let's go on to the next slide, and I'll also shout out my dad, Khalil, who was also here. All right,
Oh
so
man, you got a lot of pressure on you, boy.
I live for the pressure. Okay. So like I said earlier, this workshop is a partnership between Kheprw Institute and Scarabys Consulting. But what are those? Kheprw Institute, first and foremost, is a community that traces its formation all the way back to like the 70s and 80s. But the Kheprw Institute nonprofit was founded in 2003. It's really been built on the principle of community empowerment through self-mastery. The idea that we improve our community, the more that we improve ourselves, the more that we improve each other, building mastery of whatever tools that we have access to. So we focus on youth development. We focus on intergenerational leadership development. We focus on relationship building. And over the course of the past 20 years, we've done a lot of work in a lot of different areas: food, housing. I'd say some of the highlights from that 20 years include we've had two schools, one of which I attended for several years, in like middle school into like my early like high school years, one of which currently now serves 3 to 6 year olds early childhood education group. Um, we have a 17-acre farm, 8,000 square foot community office space that we use as a gathering and a place to, hold meetings of community members to work. And one more. There's just so many to choose from. I'll say the community controlled food initiative. Oh, well, no, Mimi already mentioned that one, so I'll mention it different. But the KIF program, the Kheprw Integrated Fund, that is our recoverable loan program through which we have invested, I think, almost $500,000 into local social entrepreneurs, providing low to no interest, basically startup capital, investment capital for folks looking to build businesses that give back to the community. So all that, a lot more, some might even say too much, but all through the lens of youth development, intergenerational leadership, and relationship building, community empowerment through self-mastery. So now I'll pass it to Alvin to talk a little bit about Scarabys Consulting Cooperative.
Thank you, Chinyelu. And as Mimi mentioned earlier, the original Scarabys Consulting was started by Imhotep and some others that helped to found Kheprw Institute in the early 2000s. And today our primary focus is on transferring the skills, experiences, and culture that Kheprw's developed over the last couple decades to other organizations and communities like yourself. Again, why is that important and critical to us? I'd say that's because there's no way that we can do it by ourselves. And we think it's important to strengthen our friends and allies and community so that we can create the kind of world and culture that we want to live in. So some areas we do consulting in, of course, conflict transformation, which is the focus of tonight, embracing conflict as an opportunity, and also addressing it before it turns toxic. Intergenerational leadership development, how do you work better between different generations? Art of the start, leaning into our agency, getting started with the relationships and resources that we have and learning as we go. Social enterprise, the idea of how do you create economic opportunity in our community, and opportunities for people to develop their leadership skills while meeting critical needs that we have, like healthy food, affordable housing, education, systems thinking. Again, stepping back to look at the bigger picture to understand where the leverage points are, where we can make the biggest change in the system with the smallest amount of effort. And also people-centered organizations. So the idea of how do you create an organization where the people are at the center and foundation of it, while still keeping it real with each other. So we're excited to be here tonight, and this is the first of our series of doing empowerment mumbo jumbo. So again, the mumbo jumbo community conversation is the weekly. Chinyelu is going to talk about it. Weekly program we do same day, same time, Wednesday, 6 p.m. So the fourth Wednesdays is going to be Scarabys Consulting Cooperative is going to help put on workshops like this. Later on, you're going to get to help us pick the next topic. So make sure you stick to the end so you can help us decide what we're going to do next.
Yeah. And I just dropped a link in the chat that you can go to if you want to learn a little bit more in depth. But the term mumbo jumbo, we were inspired by the title of the novel by Ishmael Reed of the same name. And in that novel, he emphasizes that the origin of that phrase would be basically like a magic person who would help settle the restless spirits of the ancestors. And throughout the novel, he's also emphasizing the connection between Black people of today with that ancestral heritage. So this conversation series is really in that spirit of connection, of settling restless spirits, of giving us a place to come together and build together. Like Alvin said, we do it every week, 6 to 8 p.m. Each, or 6 to 7:30. Each of the weeks is centered around a different one. We call them the 4 E's, but they're basically the 4 pillars of our philosophy. So education, economy, environment, and today's empowerment. So if you're interested in those other topics, if you want to hear more about the work that the Kheprw and the other individuals and organizations in our community and our orbit are doing in those areas, join us. Next week we're doing economy, and it's going to be dope. All right.
Hey, Chan, question.
Yes, sir.
So if any of our guests have any interest in maybe participating in a mumbo jumbo, what should they do?
They should email marketing@kheprw.org and let us know that, because we're always looking for new guests. We're always looking to bring people onto our platform and to uplift other people who are doing good work. So yeah, please come tell us about what you do.
Thank you.
Great question, man. All right, next slide. Okay. So I'm going to pass it to Mimi a little bit to talk a little bit about, just to ground us a little bit in our intention for the day. And then we'll go ahead and get into some conflict transformation 101.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. So yeah, we just wanted to ground, we heard what people want from this session, and that's the main thing that we want to serve today. When we put it out there, we were thinking about us coming together, like y'all in this very unique room. Half of the people in this room are from Indiana and half are from all over the country. We've connected with y'all through a whole bunch of different networks over the years. And so bringing everybody together today to dig into conflict and learn from each other was the main goal. So just encourage everybody to be present and paying attention to who is in this room, and what we can learn from each other, build together with the new connections and the reflections that we gain from each other. But also today, as we put this together, we wanted to focus on these 4 pieces on the right. So conflict in you, your own deeper understanding of conflict, where it comes from and how do you relate to it, and the mindset of transformation. So a space for us to look at how conflict can be an opportunity for growth, for deepening relationships, deepening understanding, and actually being the space that leads to a meaningful change that wouldn't have happened without that conflict. We picked one practice to hone in on today as an exercise, which is deep listening, because we feel it is, in our experience, truly transformational and can shift relationship dynamics. But there's so many practices and ways that you can do conflict transformation. That's the one we're going to really like do an exercise on together and go deep. But also we hope that today is like a platform to build on. So we're going to keep coming together every fourth Wednesday and every Wednesday at Mumbo Jumbo. Um, and we hope that today y'all can make some new connections, reflections, and we're going to give you some practices to take home and then ask you guys to tell us like, what should this space be? What do you want us to cover? What do you want to do here when we come together? And we have some other resources. We're going to give a cheat sheet at the end for some of the tools that we use in conflict transformation. But yeah, that's on the menu. And I'm going to pass it back to Chin.
Yeah. So we're going to get into some conflict transformation one-on-one. We're going to lay down some basics about what conflict transformation is and how it works. And so first, I want to just open up to the room and ask folks, um, uh, what do you think of when you think of conflict? You know, or you could even speak to like how does the idea of conflict make you feel? I just want to hear from a few people right now. What do you think of when you think of conflict?
Hi, this is Wendy from Cleveland, Ohio. And
Hey,
when I
Wendy.
think of conflict, uh, I think of a point of going deeper.
Okay, okay, off to a very, very good start. Have you been to one of these before? Okay, who else would like to share?
And this is Anita Williams. When people hear the term conflict, they usually become apprehensive. They're afraid of conflict when it shouldn't be something you be afraid of. It's like Wendy just said, something to dig deeper in to see why there is a difference in thoughts and processes. So it's not always a bad thing.
Yeah, I see a raised hand from Sear, and then we're gonna have to keep it moving. But yeah,
Yeah, my name is Carmen, and I will change my name there. My
okay, right on.
organization is SEER. Conflict for me, when I work with people and I lead a team of community leaders, I talk to them that conflict is the only constant that we're going to encounter in our work. So that we don't have to shy away from conflict, but lean into conflict and find out what is it there that is caused. Try to go to the root
Yeah,
with deep listening. So is that's been kind of my approach to conflict. Is like, what is this opportunity to either grow or to move forward? Because
yeah,
if you shy away, it's just stop the work.
yeah, right on. Thank you very much, Carmen. And Cass put in the chat, hurt feelings that need to be expressed, addressed, and resolved. Yes, another good answer. Anybody else who would like to answer that question, please put it in the chat. But I think that those answers give us a really good, really a really good foundation to start with. You know, we know that conflict is difference. You know, we know that conflict is that friction that comes, you know, when people either have differing opinions or viewpoints or think that they have differing opinions or viewpoints, you know? And that's it's that friction, that heat that arises, you know, like a volcano, the pressure that erupts through the surface. But I think like Carmen spoke to, like Wendy spoke to, you know, it's also something that when you dig deeper, you know, it can be transformational, you know, it can be something that fertilizes the ground, you know. Um, so, uh, but one of the things that really helps you understand that is this first piece of theory that we're going to get into, which is this idea of the nested theory of conflict. And so, basically, once again, I think Wendy spoke to this idea that all conflicts are layered. Um, and you can think about it as a matter of like the episode versus the epicenter of the conflict. The episode is usually what people think about. You know, it is the confrontation. You know, it's the fight. It's the argument. You know, it's the cold shoulder. You know, anything that like manifests and lets you know, like, hey, there's a problem here. And A lot of people have an approach to conflict that just addresses the episode, and we're going to talk about that more in a second here. They're basically like, how can we settle this point of friction so we can move on? But conflict transformation is about getting deeper. It's about getting under the surface. It's about looking at the epicenter, which is not the episode itself. It's not just the confrontation itself. It's the thing that underlies the confrontation. It's the root of the difference. We're going to talk about a few stories here in a second that can maybe illustrate this a little further, but just be thinking about that for now. The episode is the confrontation. The epicenter is the root. It's like the epicenter is the point of tension. So yeah, let's keep it moving though for a second. Okay, so actually take it back because there was answers to my next question on that slide. So I maybe already gave it away a little bit, but when I say conflict resolution and conflict transformation, what do people see as the distinction there? What's the difference between those two concepts? Let's hear from some folks who haven't shared yet, maybe. Conflict resolution and conflict transformation. What's the relationship between those two things?
This is Cassandra, and it sounds like to me, like when you resolve a conflict, it's like you end, it seems like it's where you end and you both parties agree on the solution or agree with the other person's point of view. But the other one seems like maybe you just get a better understanding of what's happening and maybe come up with a different or a shared solution.
Yeah. Yeah. Right on. Right on. Great answer. Does anybody else want to add to that?
And I like that.
Go for it, Miss Deidre.
No, I like I like that. I like that. I like how she said that. So it's a shared solution. I like that. So we grew, we changed, we were more. So
Yeah.
I like that. I like that.
Yeah, for sure. And we can go ahead and go to the next slide now. So yeah, you hit it right on the head, Cassandra. It is that idea, conflict here. So here we have some of those differences laid out across a few different axes. Feel free to read through this, take a screenshot, study it for later. But yeah, conflict resolution is how do we move past this? How do we settle this? It tends to be a lot more, it tends to be like a more short-term solution, I guess you could say. It's something that people tend to resort to when they don't have a deep connection with somebody, or sometimes you just gotta get some stuff done. We can't get into this right now. We gotta finish. We gotta meet this deadline. So let's just agree to disagree and keep moving. But conflict transformation, it's that getting deeper, and I think that like the concept, the idea of like a shared solution, I think is a really great way to think about it because when you go deeper and you gain that deeper understanding, so here's what I'll say. With conflict resolution, you settle the beef, but at the end of the day, that argument might pop back up again because you haven't gained that deeper understanding. You've just settled it for now. With conflict transformation, the idea is that you come to understand each other enough where you don't have to come back to that issue in that way. Um, uh, uh, this slide used to say conflict resolution versus conflict transformation, and we had to change it. Thank you for changing the slide out. Because we kind of started to realize that like it's not really an either or thing. Sometimes conflict resolution is a step on the way to conflict transformation. But the important part is that you don't just stop when it's resolved. You keep going, you dig deeper until you gain that deeper understanding. Wendy, you have a hand up. What you got?
So just trying to get clear. So in conflict transformation, something changes within the people or group that had the conflict?
Yes.
Like is that a distinction that something changed? Either the way we deal with it next time or there's a new, like, yeah, is that part of the
Yeah.
distinction? Am I saying that right?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. There's that, and the change is really that deeper understanding. So yeah, and that does lead to, okay, so maybe the next time this rises up, we'll address it next time. Maybe there's something that we can hash out right now so that it doesn't have to rise up again. You know, but the point is, maybe we just come to the agreement that we're better off separated. And the relationship transforms that way. But the thing is that, like, it's sort of like, it's almost like a breaking of the cycle, I guess you could say. So um yeah. So yeah, once again, a few of those differences in your desired outcome, differences in the scope and the process. But
Chinyelu, I hate to put you on the spot, or your colleagues. Do you have an example that would make it a little clear about what you just shared with us? You or
uh
maybe Mimi or Alvin?
yeah, I could share one. On Mimi or Album, I've been talking for a second. Would either of you like to hop in here?
I could share one. Um, so something I've observed between a couple housemates in an experience was they were constantly getting into friction around like cleaning up of like dishes in the kitchen and such. And the resolution in the moment was often just like, someone being like, okay, I'll do it, or just like a sort of quick, like snappy exchange. But like transformation happened when they sat down and talked about why those exchanges were so charged for both of them. And a lot of it had to do with their personal experiences and their families, where one of them was um, a male with a lot of sisters and a mother that the woman that they were constantly fighting with about the dishes reminded them of those experiences that they had with their sister and their mom. And for the woman who was getting into the conflict, she had a little brother, and it was very triggering for her, this thing about keeping the space clean. And the two of them had a transformation, and they sat down and they talked about like their family experiences and why those exchanges were so triggering for them. That was actually like very deep tied to like family scripts and how they were triggering each other and acknowledging that. And they literally talked for like 3 hours that night. And like I think honestly that was years ago and they're still like processing it to this day, but it gave them a different level of understanding and their relationship like got a lot deeper after that. And even though they still disagree, they respected each other, understanding more where they were each coming from.
Yeah, right on.
Hey, I love how you didn't name names. It was good.
Notice,
Preserving people's privacy today. Oh, we got a hand from Denise.
I want to say hello to everyone, and I want to see if this situation also is uh, fits that description. So I have a good friend. We've been friends since we were 10, and we had a falling out. And there had been some tension. I wasn't quite sure what the tension was about, but it kept coming up. Different things kept coming up. And so then there was a big blow up. So, but we had gone on a retreat and she owed me some money. So she stopped by my house after the retreat, after this blow up. So I'm not sure that this is going to fit, but I'm gonna throw it out there.
Yeah,
So
please.
when she came, and this is June Denise Chinleo, this is your
Oh,
auntie.
hello. It's so good to see you.
Good to be here. So she came by my house, and I live in an older house, and there was a mouse in a trap. And I was terrified. And so she came over, she was mad. We were both mad, swole up and everything. And I said, will you put this dead mouse in the trash can for me? And she said yes. And at that moment, I knew that she was my sister forever, no matter how angry we might be.
Mm-hmm.
Because that to me, that was like she's going to come out of her anger, out of her ego place to help her sister put the mouse in the trash can. And then, we're going to move on. We're going to talk through it. But it was that moment for me that let me, I don't have siblings that I grew up with, whereas she did. And so what fighting means to her or conflict was probably different than for me. And so at that moment, I realized we were sisters. And so we've been friends for 60 years now.
Yeah.
So that
Yeah.
to me is kind of like how you can have conflict and it can be transformative.
Yeah. And especially like, and I think that's a really interesting example because I definitely do think, I think a lot of the time transformation requires you to have that conversation first. But I do think sometimes like events can happen or things can like be revealed to you that recontextualize your
Yeah.
relationship and help you and like you said, I think in that moment you gained an understanding that even though she may be mad at you or whatever, she still got this love for you, which sounds
Yes.
like helped y'all get at
Yes.
the episode a little bit deeper after that.
I think we talked about it not long ago. I think for her, it was more transformative for me because I didn't grow up with siblings, and
Yeah.
she did. So she
This is
already
regular
knew
for
where
her.
her head was. She already
Yeah.
knew where she was. But for me, it was like, oh, you can be that mad at me and fussing and not talking, and then just come over and just help me. Oh, okay,
Yeah.
that's what a sister is.
Yeah. See, then that's what I was talking about earlier. Sometimes we think there's a problem, but it's not really as much of a problem as we think it is, but
Yes.
there's still,
Yes.
the perception is still there. So it still creates that friction. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing, Auntie. Does
Sure.
anybody else want to share a story right now or ask a question? Right on. Right on. Okay, well, I think now as much as I would love to sit here and keep telling stories as if we were around a campfire, I do want to keep the show moving along. So I'm going to pass it to Mimi, who's going to lead us through a deep listening exercise. Yeah, and we'll go from there. All you, Mimi.
Thank you. And thank you for speaking to that, Miss Denise. I've been going through a lot of conflict transformation with my sister this last year because we have had to become a team in a new way as we've been supporting our parents through health challenges. And yes, you said it. You can be mad, hurting, whatever, and you still keep it moving and work together, and I'm there for you, and let's figure this out. That is what a sister is. So thank you for
Yes.
making me cry tonight while I have to talk. So I appreciate you. Um, but yes, deep listening. So, um, first of all, does anybody have like a initial thought when you hear deep listening, what that means to you? Or how is it different from like just the average listening that we might do day to day?
Since I was already talking, I'll just say for me, it's listening to understand, not listening to just react.
Mm. I
Yes,
see a hand from Lane.
let's
I
go.
think, yeah, I think Denise said it well. I was just going to say, sometimes when we're listening, we are figuring out what we want to say in return, versus, as Denise was saying, just kind of really trying to understand where the person is coming from and being able to mirror that back.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, listening to understand. So some of this comes out of the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. which is one of my favorite books in the world because I am a nerd. I literally talked about it with my Lyft driver when I was on a trip. And there's so much helpful stuff in there for relationships and really good stuff on deep listening. So habit 5 in that book is what you're saying, seek first to understand and then to be understood. And most of us, a lot of the time, we have a lot of training in how to speak, how to write, how to read, but we don't really have a lot of training in how to listen. And we often are, when we're listening and when we're communicating, we're seeking mostly to be understood. And that seeking first to understand is deep listening and is a thing that can shift relationship dynamics truly transformationally. So a helpful exercise that we're going to do is catching ourselves doing autobiographical listening. So a lot of the time when we're listening, we're doing behaviors that's really about projecting our views, and it gets in the way of being able to just receive, where is this person coming from? Can I just step into understanding what they're saying from their point of view? And so some of those behaviors is listed here on the right: evaluating, you're listening and you're judging. Do I agree or disagree with what they're saying? You're probing, you're like asking questions, trying to like relate it to your view. You're advising, you're giving counsel, advice, proposing solutions, or you're interpreting, you're trying to understand their motive and like why they would be sharing this with you, again, based off your own experience. So we're going to do a short exercise. We're going to break out into rooms of 2. And everybody's going to get to practice deep listening and pay attention to these autobiographical listening behaviors and try to focus on just listening and receiving where this person is coming from and seeking to understand them in where they're at. So it's going to be 2 people for 5 minutes. One of you is going to be the talker, and you are going to talk about, who are you? What's your story? Just anything about who you are. And the other person is going to practice deep listening and catch themselves in their autobiographical listening behaviors. And then you're going to switch. The other person will talk about their story, who they are, whatever they want to share for 5 minutes. They just get to talk, whatever. And you're now just seeking to understand. So we're going to break out into rooms of 2 for 10 minutes, set a timer for 5, one person listening, one person seeking to understand, switch for 5 minutes, and then we'll come back together and hear how you did. Greetings! Welcome back. I hope people didn't get cut off too much at the last second there. We tried to give you time to wrap it up. And we're back. So how did it go? I'm looking for a few people to come off mute and tell me, how did your deep listening practice go?
It's great. Great.
Enjoyed myself.
Loved it.
Okay.
Yes, it was good.
I did get cut off.
My partner was awesome.
I think I have a new friend.
Definitely made new friend. That was great.
Yeah, I was gonna say learned some really good things about some people. So that was good stuff. One quick thing I'll just say real quick. Jessica was my person and I love her already. But real quick, what was funny is she went first and then I went. But when she went, because I know how I am, I interrupt people all the time, so I shut myself up. So I mute myself so I don't do it. You know, I just kind of talk out loud sometimes. So I mute myself, right? So when I did my story and then Jessica, she was supposed to talk back to me. She goes, "I'm so sorry I interrupted you." And I was like, I do the same thing, but I have to mute myself to shut up. So she does the same thing I do, which is so funny. And so we just had a little chuckle about that. And there she goes, hearting it. So we were actively listening, but we were also engaged and very interested in each other's lives. That's all it was.
Yeah. Beautiful. Yes, I know. It's hard for a lot of us. Someone said it, who said it in my check-in group that was like, what I hope to learn from today is how to shut my mouth. Any?
Real quick, I did see Carmen with a hand, and then I see Tara with a hand as well.
Oh.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, it's something that I'm getting better at listening. I find out that it's a lot cultural because I interrupt too, and it's just like I want to make a comment right there when they're saying something really interesting, right? But I find myself right now thinking more. That is like, okay, I need to be more conscious in catching myself, and also kind of quieting my mind because when he says something like, "Oh, I have to say my age," "Oh, I have to say what I," because he was very thorough in his explanation of where he came from and school and how he got where he is right now, right? So then at one point, my mind was quiet and I find myself just really focusing in his story and learning more. But it take me a while to really kind of tune off my mind, and then just focus.
Yes. Beautiful. And so for so many of us, that's definitely the case. And that moment that you experienced where your mind went quiet and you were able to just be receiving, you can use that. That's a taste of what it feels like to do deep listening. And like when you're in difficult situations with people maybe that you're closer to, or like conflicts and things that are, triggering, you can in your mind go back to that moment. And the more you focus on it and practice it, the more you can be in that space in the hardest times. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
beautiful. You tasted it. It's beautiful.
I've got a question. My partner didn't know it, but when she was talking, in order to really concentrate on what she was saying, I was taking notes. Now, when you're in a one-to-one situation, is that a rude thing to do? Like if you and I are sitting across the table from each other, and I really want to pay attention to what you're doing, what you're saying, is that rude?
I think rude is subjective. So everybody would have a different opinion about that. I think if you're concerned that someone else might take it in a weird way or be like, what are you doing? You can always say, I'm really trying to listen to you. And when I take notes, it helps me do that. Do you mind?
Yeah, no, no problem.
Yeah, but I think everybody would probably have a different answer to is that rude? Me, I'm cool. You can take notes. I want to see them though.
Looks like we got a lot of note takers in the chat too.
Mm-hmm.
I think Tara's got her hand up too. Let's go.
I do. I just wanted to share my experience. It was great. And I noticed, like, when my partner was talking, that I can kind of like my mind was kind of like jittery and kind of bouncing all over the place. So I ended up like closing my eyes to kind of like minimize stimulation, and that helped me to be able to focus more clearly and be present in what she was saying. Um, so yeah, I just wanted to add that little tidbit too.
Beautiful. Yeah, if you might have seen me close my eyes sometimes on the call tonight. I do that too. Because yeah, it can help me focus. And it's kind of similar to what Lee was saying though. Sometimes people are like, you're closing your eyes, are you not here? Are you asleep? Are you not listening? I will say like, hey, just so you know, I'm closing my eyes so I can focus on what you're saying. Does help for some of us.
Yes.
Yeah. Thanks. Okay, well, I think I'm gonna keep it moving forward, but we're gonna pass it. Um, like Chin said, like we're flowing, and so it's 7:23. We want to respect y'all time. We said we would be done at 7:30. If people do want to stay on after, we definitely want to hear feedback on this session and how we can improve it. And if you have other things you want to share, feel free to stay on, but we're gonna work to close at 7:30, 7:35 to make sure we respect your time. So in the interest of that, I am going to move us forward in the presentation. Let me go back to share mode, which
Lane would like to know if folks will receive a copy of the slides.
yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
we can do that. Yeah, we can do that.
So Alvin's going to get into it at the end, but we actually also created like a channel for you guys online on our platform, Alchemy Plus, which is for online education from like our community. And if people want to like contribute what you have to like an online class or whatever, that's what we do on that platform. But it's also social media and community building, and we've made a channel for you guys. And Alvin will show it at the end, so you can get on there and continue to like talk and build with each other.
So there's not going to be time for questions.
Yes, yes, Khalil, thank you.
So is this a good time now? I heard. It sounds like you're trying to shut it down.
Let me also, just because it's you and I know you so well, I'm going to go through a couple things and then
let me get a question in. Thank you.
Okay.
Hello, Auntie, as well. Thank you, brother. All right, so
it's a family affair. Okay. Share mode. Am I in share mode? Yes, I am.
Hey, Mimi Zakem, to follow up with Khalil's question, while you and Khalil got a special thing because Chin and et cetera, et cetera. Others may have the same kind of question. And for clarity, will there be time for questions? And if so, when?
Yes. Yes, in like 5 minutes.
Thank you.
Yes. No, thank you. No, thank you. Okay. So this is an exercise that we're going to table to a future session if you guys want to do it, or if you guys want to do something else in the future, we can. But people often want to know, like, what are the steps of conflict transformation? And honestly, there's so many different ways to do it. So an exercise that we have on the table was like breaking out into those rooms and people in their groups coming up with, here would be the 3 to 5 steps that we would say someone would go through when they're trying to step into a conflict transformation situation, when they're trying to go deep and get at the epicenter and come to some deeper understanding, change dynamics, what have you. And then we also like have our own working framework, which has these steps. And what we're going to do is just send it to you. So you can look at it at home. You can share it. It's going to be also in a format that you can share with anybody that you want. We just want people to practice. And we're not going to get into it right now. We can get into it in the future more deeply if you guys want. So for tonight, I'm going to pass it to Alvin to help with our like debrief and next steps. And we can do questions as a part of that and what's not. But thank you all very, very much for stepping into the deep listening and the whole thing. And I will pass it to Alvin.
Thank you, Mimi. So I'll actually go ahead and open up. Khalid, did you want to ask your question now?
Thanks, Alvin. I'm just trying to be succinct and not get out. I'm just curious about the element of time relative to this model. I really, appreciate the presentation, everything. And as I was thinking, and really, I was with Carmen in the one-on-one. I just really, just in my way, trying to be critical. Think about what it really requires in a space of divergence. Really, if you're transforming conflict, it's probably not a necessarily a jovial space at that time. And what it requires is the amount of time. I've been in a lot of spaces, school education spaces, where there's not a lot of time. You don't have a lot of time to talk. And oftentimes on the back scenes, highly contentious environments. And I'm curious about, how does this model fit in spaces where it's not a lot of time to sit down, talk, and dialogue, and go through this process, one, and then two. And I'm cheating, I know I'm going to ask one more. Is there any conversation about level and model down for young people, and how I think it's a prime time for young people to learn the space as well, how to transfer these skills downward towards younger people, middle school, elementary as well? Thank you.
Thank you, Chloe. And in terms of time, were you talking about just conflict in general, or even the time it takes for this workshop? Would you like us to? Okay.
Not the workshop. The
Okay.
time it takes to transform conflict, the time it takes to, or at least the notion, of conflict, the process. I felt like in the presentation, at least what I feel like, that at the root of it is a lot of conversation, relationship building, understanding back and forth. And in work environments where some of our, constituents are from and everything, you don't have that kind of time, to go through that. And oftentimes not even the culture, the framework to even structure those kinds of meetings and engagements.
Yeah,
So
I think to Khalil's point, Minneapolis would be a good example of that.
absolutely.
Can you explain more? Yeah.
You're engaging with people that are in some real serious conflict in the right now. And how is this a model that will work in those spaces where you don't have a lot of time to build that relationship aspect? What are the skills and processes that you use to handle those things in those moments? Now, I'm not saying we have to answer that tonight, but I think that's the nature of really what he's trying to get at.
Highly contentious, not friendly environments. Most people find themselves when they're trying to transform conflict in spaces that are divergent. In Minneapolis, people are dying, being killed. So where it really matters in those spaces.
And in many instances, one of the two parties, if they're just only two, it doesn't want to resolve. They want the conflict.
Right.
There is no way out because this is why they came to the fore. So they came to the forefront. I mean, and that's going to be difficult for you to figure out. Is this person wanting to resolve this conflict and move ahead as a person in community?
Well, Khalil, I believe the Scarabys Consulting Company is looking for some additional participants. I suspect you may have some skills that can help support the growing efforts of Scarabys and addressing conflict in all spaces and all forms.
Well, I'm a person that believes. I'm one that believes in the divergence and the. I feel like we should live more in that space as well. And so, not sure about the transformation, but yeah, definitely can share about living in that
Yeah,
space.
but I think, like Paula said, that people have to be willing to come together to address conflict transformation. And I don't think that Mimi and them, at least I didn't get that from them, that they were saying that this was a quick and easy process and that it would take a short amount of time. But there must first be the commitment to sit down and talk about it and try to work through it. And then how long it takes is how long it takes.
Yeah. I have
the follow-up on that real quick, I guess to Khalil's point, and I'm gonna shut up. Can conflict transformation take place with parties that are not building a relationship together?
Or one party that doesn't want to.
Yeah. I have a brief response. Yeah, I mean, it's so context dependent. So yeah, sometimes you don't have time to get into that. You need to make decisions. You have things that you're doing. That's the context. And sometimes, yeah, no, we're not getting into that right now. We don't have the time. We don't have the energy. But ultimately, I think if the relationship is important to you and the goal is important to you, then you have to do your best to find somewhere to make the time. And that, I mean, honestly, in the work that we've done, like in the 10 years I've been in this community, that's one of the most exhausting parts. Like sometimes we're doing a conflict transformation session at 10, 11 p.m. because we had a full day, we had shit we had to do, but my team member feels away and we
the
have
only time everyone is available is at dinner. So
I'm exhausted and they're exhausted, but we understand like it's too important to let it fester. So we do our best to get into, or we say, I can't, like I want to get into this with you, but I don't have it right now. Like, can we talk in the morning? Can we do it over dinner tomorrow? So if it's really important to you, do your best to find the time. Of course, yeah, in some contexts it's not possible, and you have to keep it moving. do what you need to do in the moment, be present, and try to find and make that time. And then lastly, generally, conflict transformation session is two parties who are looking to grow and transform. They're looking to, well, I'm trying to understand where you're coming from. I'm trying to understand what is my role in this. What could I do better? What can I learn from this? And what can I learn about you? And sometimes when you don't have that, one person can still go through transformation by expressing what do, whether it's received or not, because I had to do it, even if I don't expect you to receive it. I had to say it for me. And I had to go through the experience of you not receiving it and me learning to deal with that.
Real quick, we got Wendy who's got her hand up. So Wendy, you want to add into this? And also, just before people have to jump off, I know that we are over time. There's a link to the survey in the chat. That's how you get the cheat sheet. So to get the cheat sheet for the session today, fill out the survey. It's really short. Yeah, thank you. Go ahead, Wendy. And then if we could, please, again, we want to thank you for being a part of, again, this is all experimental. We're learning from you all just as much as you're learning from us as we figure out how to make this better and how this can contribute to your work and to the world. So if you have 10 more minutes, you can stay with us. We would deeply appreciate it. So go ahead, Wendy.
So that's what I was gonna ask. Was this that part? I wasn't for sure if we already gotten into the stay after or not. So
we're
here now. Okay,
yeah,
cool.
we're about to get there. Yep. But first, we want to also see what people want to do. So let's go ahead and do what people want to do next. I want to make sure we get people's perspective on what our next topic should be. I'm going to open up a poll.
Conversation.
Yeah, and then we'll do the after set afterwards where we can stop the recording and get real. Okay, I'm watching. Yeah, thank you all. I'm watching the poll. If you could please give people like 30 seconds to fill out, 30 seconds or so just to fill out. What would you like next month's workshop to be? Again, it could be a conflict transformation 201. It could be cooperative leadership, reinventing organizations, a whole bunch of topics. So choose whichever one you want to be a part of next month, and that would bring you back.
And if there's a topic that you want to hear us talk about that isn't on the list, there's a short answer option below as well. So you can also select that if you'd like.
We see the polls coming in. Thank you, everyone. It's
so exciting.
Can you type in the short answer?
Yeah, you should be able to.
I don't know if I couldn't on my end just because I'm a host, but if not,
yeah, I can't either. So please let us know if y'all are typing your short answers into
and this is also in the end of workshop survey, so you can put that in there too if it didn't go through on this.
That's a good trick, Alvin.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the redundancy. You build in redundancy. You learn that eventually.
Systems thinking.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to give people another 10 seconds. Final answer. Okay, we got 20 out of 21. I'm going to go ahead and close the poll.
1.
All right, these were the results. We got a neck and neck tie. Navigating uncertainty, conflict transformation 201, and then cooperative leadership as third. So again, we're doing this monthly. So we'll get together as a team, discuss what we want to do next month. But we'll definitely make sure we touch on these top 2 ones, either next month or the next 2 months, and the third one too. Okay, so let's go back one slide. Okay, I wanted to say we're actually doing a book giveaway. So we put in the chat alchemy.kheprw.org. There is, go back one more, a really great podcast that I think goes into a lot of these same ideas about what it means to transform conflict. Amy Gallo works at the Harvard Business Review and wrote a book all about conflict. And she talks about her own personal experiences and her own kind of process she does to prepare for difficult conversations. Again, this cheat sheet has a link to that podcast. Sign up for alchemy.kheprw.org and visit the Alchemy Leadership Academy. That's where we'll post the recording, and we'll also email it out. But the first 3 that post a reflection on a practice that you implemented from tonight, or you listen to the podcast and put your feedback on what you thought about it or something you took away, we're going to send you a free book. So the first 3 that go to alchemy.kheprw.org, and on the left bar, Alchemy Leadership Academy, and then you'll click on the chat, the top tab on the chat, so you can respond there. I'll keep an eye on it, and the first 3 that responds will get a free book. Next slide. Okay, next slide. And then the cheat sheet, if you fill out the survey that's in the chat, and then we're going to have a QR code next, you're going to get, it's like a 4-page summary of all the different resources and stuff that we touched on tonight. So these 2 QR codes, the top one is the survey. So we're going to let people go ahead and scan that, take your phone out and turn on the camera. Or I'm going to put the link in the chat. It's in the chat, but I'll put it in the chat again. So we definitely want your honest feedback. Again, this is something that we're learning from you all. So we appreciate whatever you have to say.
Yeah.
And then also there's a link here to book a one-on-one consulting session. So if you want to go deeper one-on-one on this or any other topics, it's scarabys.com/book, or you can scan that QR code.
You know I ride for you and always keep it true. You know I slide for you. Yeah, that's what real ones do. I would never lie to you and always keep it true. Light up the sky for you. Yeah, that's what real ones do. You know I ride for you and everything you do. I will let it fly for you. Yeah, that's what real ones do. Just wanna vibe with you in everything you do. Never say goodbye to you. Yeah, that's what real ones do. Yeah, we locked in. You my one and only option, baby, you should opt in. Big rock on your finger, how we rockin'. If you love a nigga, hop in. The way we rollin', ain't no stoppin'. Stuck to you like stockings. Clean it up, yeah, I'm mopping. Our life goals got us poppin'. Yeah, we really locked in. Build a home and build a family, the fantasy. But we made it our reality, and actually the spaces that we making are a galaxy where we can heal our wounds and do it happily. We flying, we defying all the gravity. We cooking up love for the agony. Learn how to love is the strategy. We gon' do it all, baby, gradually. I'm talking to you like the goddess that you are. I dreamed of your face in the stars. Every little scrape and scar, I accept you just as you are, just the way that you are. Every scrape, every scar, we on this road going far. Yeah, yeah. You know I ride for you and always keep it true. You know I slide for you. Yeah, that's what real ones do. I would never lie to you and always keep it true. Light up the sky for you. Yeah, that's what real ones do. You know I ride for you and everything you do. I will let it fly for you. Yeah, that's what real ones do. Just wanna vibe with you and everything you do. Never say goodbye to you. Yeah, that's what real ones do. Yeah.